Today is May 15, 2023. The story I want to tell, the encounter I want to talk about, occurred in the summer of 1996, so 27 years ago almost. Connie and I had finished our study and our time in Amman, Jordan, and studying Arabic. And there's a fellow in Israel that we knew. I'd known Chuck Kopp since we were teenagers. His parents came to my dad's church in Los Angeles area when we were both in high school. Known Chuck since that time, and he had a ministry, his family in Jerusalem, and there was a visa slot that was available in that ministry, and he offered that to me. And so in the summer of 1996, we crossed the border. We came into Israel, and I was given the status of what they call a Kohen Dati. That was my visa, stamped in my passport, religious priest. So I became a religious priest in Israel in the summer of 1996. And that, of course, gave us the right to live there, and we could rent, get a car, and all that kind of thing. And so we were there with our denominational mission board, and we began our time there. Actually, as it turns out, we were there for a total of 3 years. The first year we moved to, there's a place, we subleased a place that was leased by a missionary couple that were on furlough in what's called Mevaseret Zion. Mevaseret Zion, Mevaseret means proclaiming or declaring, and then Zion is Zion. So Proclaiming Zion, that was the name of the place where we lived. And it was about, I think, about 10 or 12 miles outside of Jerusalem, going more toward the Sheffield, the coastal plain and the airport and all that. So we're up in the hills a little bit. As a matter of fact, when you arrive coming up from Tel Aviv, you arrive at this high point, which was called Har El, or Mountain of God. And on this Mountain of God, there was this city, Mevaseret Zion, or declaring or proclaiming Zion, which meant that was where you could see for the first time as you're coming up from the plains. That's the first time that you could see Jerusalem, and so they call this place Proclaiming Jerusalem. Interestingly enough, there was a place called Canyon Har El, which is the Har El Mall. So I always translated it. We lived in Proclaiming Zion, and we shopped at the Mountain of God Mall. We were there for 1 year before we moved down to the coastal city of Herzliya Pituach, which was north of Tel Aviv. But more on that later. When I got there, we settled in, and down the street from us there was an institution called the Merkaz Klita, which means an immigration center, and that's where I began to study Hebrew. I was in a class with about 25 professionals, doctors and accountants and the like, and they were from mostly from the United States, but also from Brazil and France. So they were in this class, and I studied with them. These were all new immigrants. I think none of them had grown up observant as Jews, but decided as adults to become observant, and in that process decided to make aliyah, to immigrate to Israel. So there I was with all these professional people that were studying Hebrew together, and it was really hard, but I was doing okay, and I got to know several of them during that time. I want to talk about them in the next video, but that was an exceptional period of time as we got kosher McDonald's at the Mountain of God Mall, and lived in a place from which you could see Jerusalem for the first time as you're coming up the mountain. So more on all this later.